Okay, so remember they're changing my voice. Now, there's two things that you need to understand right away. One is that people want immediate solutions, and that's understandable. And two, the problem comes from corporations, right? Corporations are greedy, okay? Um, they want to control people more and more. Marketing is part of a psychological campaign to control your culture, to make sure that you keep buying things from them as part of your culture, okay? And that led them over time to being extremely fanatic, right? They want to make a killing. There's a sexual component to control, and so they're very much concerned with sexual control. You think about how secretaries typically relate to their bosses, how many females in studies sleep with their bosses, and so on and so forth, and how they present themselves and how that seems more preferable to prostitutes and to poor women in popular culture. Okay, obviously I don't approve of what they're doing, but this is a part of it. So why are the laws the way they are? Because corporations and their networks, which include political networks and corporate networks are basically identical. They control your local politicians, your city council members, etc. There isn't a single person who's into politics who has made any progress as a politician, has made it to the city council, as a mayor, etc., who isn't corrupt and in the pockets of corporations and various social clubs and gentlemen's clubs and even sex cults. Okay, if you don't understand this, then you're an idiot. Because even if they move the prostitutes and the violence to another neighborhood in Oakland or wherever you live, okay, you still haven't addressed the underlying problem. The reason why there's inflation, the reason why people are basically idolaters. They look up to people who are celebrities. They look up to politicians. They look up to, people in their families who aren't doing anything very respectable. Okay, and they reject the ideas of universal pinpointing moral precision and focused moral intensity. Obviously, moral maturity, moral power, willpower, okay, moral fortitude, moral will. These ideas that are extremely superior to all the cultures. Thug culture isn't the only problem in Oakland. Okay, corporate culture is first and foremost the problem in Oakland. Okay, corruption is also part of the problem in Oakland. Okay, it is trickle down corporate oppression. The reason why things are cheaper in Oakland than in a lot of places in the Bay Area is because they want people living there to stigmatize them. The word project and what image and idea you project are connected. Okay? So they wanted people in ghettos, just like in World War II, right? The Warsaw Ghetto in Poland, okay, where they crammed the Jews there and they had, a lot of crime going on there as well. When you create the social, political, economic, and spiritual circumstances for people to turn to crime, they do. For people to turn to prostitution, they do. Okay, no one in their right mind wants to risk getting a disease being a prostitute. They don't want to risk going to prison, going to jail. They don't want to take these risks. So why do they? Because you need to restructure your school system, and you didn't. Because you need jobs that appeal to them, and they're not there. Because you need to address the cultural problems, and you haven't. Because you need valid, uncontrolled leaders in the community, and you don't have them. Because you need to be honest about things instead of piling on the bullshit, and you don't do that. My War on Poverty plan, I have two main versions. One, a $200 billion a year plan. The other, a $60 billion a year plan. With just $5 a month on average, depending on income. Okay? Both these plans can be brought forth, just $5 a month on average for less than millionaires, that is. For people worth $1 million or more, $200 on average. On average is key phrase here. For the $200 billion plan, there's another tax on that, on top of that, for those worth $4 million or more. Okay, a very progressive tax. The rich will still be rich. For $200 billion a year, we could dramatically transform this nation. A $200 billion a year transformation. Okay, by restructuring the school system, building tiny homes for the homeless, okay, in a way that's the most cost effective, and having lots and lots of people scrutinize it on a website and discuss, how every penny is spent. So far, Gavin Newsom's plan and other politicians' plans aren't that cost effective. For $6 billion, we should be able to end homelessness in California. He plans to spend $14.7 billion, and I don't think he has any plan to end homelessness. It's putting too much money toward mental health, too much money toward, remodeling hotels and so on and so forth, okay? This video isn't about whether Gavin Newsom should be governor or not. That's not my concern in this video. My concern is to solve the problems. I'm not running for office, but obviously I'm the only person who is a logical leader for any community in America. And to suppress me makes it crystal clear that they have no intention to actually solve the problems. So when someone dies, never forget that everyone who isn't rallying to me for universal pinpointing moral precision is part of the problem. Everyone who isn't insisting on a war on poverty plan instead of whatever political, social, and economic madness they're pushing for is part of the problem. The families of the victims are also part of the problem because they refuse to rally for the solution. Think about that. Are they honoring the dead in the streets of Oakland when they refuse to rally for the solution? In life, you have to pick your battles. And if you don't fight for universal pinpoint and moral precision, you're fighting for evil. Okay? If you argue that someone should be able to molest your child once a week instead of never, you're arguing for evil. So a little bit off, okay, in a way that's obvious, is an obvious argument for evil. One must try their hardest to actually be precise. If you're not trying your hardest to be morally precise, morally, mentally, spiritually, and romantically precise, you're making a mistake. Now, why are there sex workers in the first place? Because your cultures of reproduction and dating are an abomination. Bunch of gold diggers everywhere, bunch of cultural and racial norm fanatics everywhere, traditional fanatics everywhere. Instead of saying, hey, we're going to date based on the content of the character like Martin Luther King said. Okay, and that's even a street in Oakland. You said, hey, let's just do the wrong thing. And as a result, people are cheating on their wives. They're beating their girlfriends and wives. Okay, there's sex workers everywhere. Obviously, romantic injustice is a problem. I have the solutions. Okay, there's a lot to discuss. You put in the comments. But obviously, there needs to be a moral order. Because the orders of chaos and greed that you have created drastic and dramatic immoral processes and activities and people in your societies. So in case you missed it before, the shooting in Oakland at the school, okay, all the shootings that are going on, all the violence, all the disgusting satanic-like behavior, that's why I put the picture I put on the screen. Okay, your controlled opposition groups have failed you. You need a moral order and to acknowledge me as the head of it. There's no way around this. Because I'm the only one who is believable because what I'm doing is obviously righteous and I have a long history of doing it. And I have an up to $10 million top martial artist challenge that nobody can beat me at. Countless people have conceded that I'm the top martial artist ever and the last valid martial artist ever. People need to stop putting their petty agendas over what's right. Pettiness is what causes 3 million children to starve to death every year and die of hunger-related issues. 9 million people. In 10 years, that's 30 million children. 90 million people. Just because people are petty, corporate scum. They want to pretend that when they live in their fancy neighborhoods with their fancy suits and their fancy cars and fancy homes, that they're ideal and that they're the American fucking dream or something, like they're the truth. But I am the way, the truth, and the life. Universal pinpoint and moral precision. True wisdom, moral wisdom. True life wisdom is moral wisdom. More reality. Morality is a play on words for more reality. Everyone else is living some stupid fantasy, sick, cowardly game. Well, I'm the top martial artist ever, with a pure heart, and I am the only solution. Everything else is just some nonsense corporate garbage that fools fall for because they're fools.